Words, words, and more words, all up in here. Meaningless, inert labels, they mean nothing. They're only containers made of sounds. Gibberish abstractions, and we fall for it. Dwell in it. Make it our own reality. Illusions of an imagination run out of control. Projections of delusions in front of our very eyes. Dreaming of a past and future unreal. Our minds take flight in these words, and without our feet on the ground, we become completely oblivious to a more whole reality of existence. Only if we could resist the temptation of filling emptiness with our empty words, we could feel the fullness of a presence beyond words. Oh, I'm so poetic. But poetry is a way for me to communicate without any counter-arguments. When there is a whole crowd of people waiting their turn to argue and debate with their small bucket of logic filled with words. Okay, that was poetic as well. I shall stop now. And this video is a continuation from Yogic step 1 and 2. So make sure you have seen that first before you watch this one. So after my inner engineering and Bhavaspandana, I went back to Swami. And I was fortunate enough to be guided by these few brahmacharis. I will not be naming them here because of the nature of their path. Nevertheless, I'm forever grateful of having them guide me during this time of my life. So I asked him, what's the plan for me in the Isha Yoga Center? He said you can have your indefinite visit, book a ticket to Coimbatore on the first week of January, and there is this new Ishanga teachers training happening. In fact, Sadhguru is coming to train teachers for the first time in 10 years. So what you can do is you can do the Ishanga Satsang teachers training, which is for 7 days in the middle of January. Then you can have the Shoonya intensive in the middle of Feb, and a few days after the Samyama silence program, and in March you have the Mahashivratri. I was like, cool, how convenient is that? One after the other, all fast paced, just how I like it, not knowing what I had signed up for once again. So I communicated and relayed all of this information to the ashram volunteering department to get my stay and all sorted, and they gave me the thumbs up and said I could come on any date within the first week of January. This is 2014. So I thought, cool, even though I had stopped partying because I knew I was going to attend the Samyama in Feb, I still thought I would spend New Year's Eve with my friends and say goodbye and leave. So I decided to book my ticket for the 2nd of January. Since that will give me time and I'll be able to celebrate New Year's Eve with my friends. Bonfire and all in New Delhi winters is always nice. So then December comes by and Swami gives me a call and asks me if I'm all set for my trip. And I said, yes, absolutely. Then he asked me, what date am I arriving to the ashram? I said, 2nd of January. He said, why 2nd? Why not the 1st? I told him my reasons and he said, why don't you book for the 1st of January instead? So now I want you to understand this. These brahmacharis are not the new year, new me kind of people and neither am I. But without much conversation, I cancelled my plane ticket and rebooked it for the 1st of January. Just because. And amongst all of this, I had many things happening. I had new job offers I denied. I had my friends who were very sad, even though they did not completely understand the reason I was leaving. And I was in a relationship as well. And I had my parents who thought I was delusional at first and then concerned. And much later, they found their trust in the process and Sadhguru. But the complete uprooting of my life which was about to happen was what bothered me the least. Because I think it was the nature of my father's job in the defense which led to constant moving. And maybe this is why I was very comfortable with the unattached kind of lifestyle. But then people started to ask my mother, what is happening to your son? In India, we call them log kya kahenge people, meaning group conformity basically. And now they're saying he is leaving everything and going to an ashram. Isn't that something people do when they're on the last few years of their lives? As if you have to wait to be on your deathbed to ask, what are you really here for and the real purpose of your life? Of course, all of that can wait. Let's earn money first and build a name and build a legacy. And then we will think about all of this inevitability of death and stuff, you know. We have time, right? Of course we do. We have insurance and things. But my mother had found a new state of ease within by this time. She said he is going to do what he is meant to do, and what is in his destiny shall happen to him. But he shall have me behind him. And they have been behind me to this day, both my mother and father. It's not easy to go against the grain, and not everyone is as fortunate as I am. But it's rewarding nonetheless when you follow your heart, not only for yourself, but it gives courage to those who even tentatively support you. People ask me, how do I convince my parents, my spouse, my friends about this and make them support my spirituality? I'm sorry, but you can't. You can only head down the path alone. Don't expect support. You're very fortunate if you get it. But don't expect it, as you have to walk alone eventually. Everything in your life, your career, your relationships, your ambitions, everything will need to be secondary at some point. Spirituality is the only thing which cannot work part-time. And I'm obviously speaking to a few of you at this point. And don't get me wrong, you don't need to quit your job, leave your spouse, etc. You can have all of it and more. But your yoga cannot be a second priority. You're wasting your time if you think otherwise. Or maybe you just want to appear spiritual. That's fine, and there are many people like that. In fact, you almost can't tell the real ones apart. They love the identity of being spiritual. There are a lot of people like this. You will get custom tailored suit of spirituality from them, spirituality which fits you perfectly, fits all your ideas, philosophies and limitations. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. Mass appeal does not validate or equate to truth. You are the one who needs to yield to truth, not the other way around. The unspeakable truth will not be according to the comforting lies you tell yourself. So I'll leave my friends on the 1st of January 2014 at 3 a.m. and catch my flight at 6 a.m. to my first ever visit to the ashram in Coimbatore. I meet up with Swami and I ask him what to do. He instructs and I follow. Surya Kund for 12 minutes, Devi Temple for her love, Dhyanalinga for the deep meditation, and I was fulfilled beyond belief. The energies of these places are palpable and I got along with them so well. But Swami had other plans. He got me in the inner engineering teachers training process from day 2. I was put through a grind that only a few people can understand. See, the inner engineering teachers training grind is one of the ego. Now many people have ideas about this, but this is how it is. This process is to make you a clean vessel, because only an empty and clean vessel can carry and deliver something worthwhile. And this is not necessarily a pleasant process. But anyway, by the time the Ishanga Satsang teachers training comes around, I'm ready. Sadhguru does come and we did get to spend some time with him. Then I, along a few privileged others, become the first Ishanga Satsang teachers. And then after that I carried on with my volunteering and the sadhana and the Sattvic Samyama diet until Shoonya Intensive comes around. In Shoonya Intensive, you learn the Shakti Chalana Kriya and get initiated into Shoonya meditation. Shakti Chalana Kriya has many aspects to it. It is a process to make your life energies come to a new pitch, and it also allows you to be available to the Shoonya meditation. And I have nothing else to say about this, as Shoonya meditation is a way of doing nothing. This is an integral part of Samyama, as I found out later. Sadhguru also says that to lead a happy life, the inner engineering program and Bhavaspandana is enough. Shoonya Intensive and Samyama are for people who are looking for serious spiritual growth. Then about 3-4 days after this was Samyama. and you need to decide a few months earlier if you want to do this program, as there is the pre-Samyama meet and an interview as well. They give you all the instructions on how to prepare for it here, and I took it very seriously. I did my Hatha Yoga and all the Kriyas, stuck to the Sattvic diet as well, and now it's time for Samyama. Sadhguru was there pretty much all the time. He would create these high energy situations. Now the thing about talking about all of this is that you must listen to this like a story, especially if it's not in your experience. If you're a hardcore skeptic, you will reject it and miss it. And if you're a delusional believer, you will accept it and still miss it. So anyway, if you look at this program from the point of view of an outsider, there is nothing happening. Some instructions are given and you will see people just sitting in silence. Now what's happening within these people, what they're seeing with their eyes closed, is something else. The only way to know it is to directly experience it. And I feel every human being must experience this, because this is the larger or deeper aspect of who we are. This is to experience what a human being really is. Let me put it this way. The sum of anything and everything you can perceive through your five senses is like a thin layer of life when compared to this. And if you haven't experienced your interiority in such a capacity, then this layer of experience, this thin layer that you have accumulated with your five senses, will become everything. And that's the difference between living in a cage of your own creation and being free under the open sky. So make of that what you will, but the variability in terms of what people experience in this program is very wide. If you come out of the program and compare your experience with someone else, you wouldn't even believe that you were talking about the same thing. For me, Samyama allowed me to actually begin to experience what a guru means, because this is where he unfolds his being and you get to see and experience at least some aspect of it. To see someone in that state of stillness itself is haunting and a blessing. That image will be forever burned into my mind and my being. And to actually be able to just simply be, to be able to just meditate. It may not seem like much, in fact, it's the most useless thing ever. To be able to just be without anything, any need, any agenda, or to hanker for any sense of self-worth, external validation, or societal value. Whatever you can come up with is a measurable quantity, so it doesn't count. What you can't count is of true value. If you're crazy enough to find that appealing, well then congratulations for being a fellow crazy person, first of all. And yes, you can consider going for this program. And remember, this is by far the highest extent an organization has gone in terms of offering such a concentrated dose of spirituality. Remember the undercover saints and sages I spoke about in my previous video? They have also experienced Samyama with their own gurus in Tibet, in the Himalayas, and in Rishikesh. But the number of people it was made available to was under a dozen. Here it happens in thousands. As far as I know, you cannot do the full 8-day Samyama program with Sadhguru more than once. For most people this will apply. Unless you're a teacher, then it's different. Everyone can do the Samyama Sadhana program though, which is a different program, and you can do it after you have done Samyama at least once. So this usually happens in October, November, and it's for 4 days. It's pretty much the same program, but Sadhguru doesn't physically come for it. But it gives you an opportunity to deepen your experience and the sadhana or the practice which they teach. I have done the Samyama twice. In 2014 was the first time. Then I did it in 2015 as a part of my inner engineering teacher's training. Then I did Samyama Sadhana also once after that, and each time I found a new level of depth in the program and within myself also in my meditations. And there is this strange feeling of getting relieved of baggage. Like I didn't know I was carrying all this heavy baggage, and now that it has been taken off me, I suddenly feel lighter and find this new sense of freedom. I feel this each time after I have gone through this program. So I won't go into any benefits and all for this program as such, because there is no real point in discussing that. To talk about benefits feels cheap, honestly, and there is no fee for this program as well. Meaning everything is on the house, your meals, your stay, your meditations, everything. And if you're planning on ever doing Samyama, know that you're blessed, and I would be preparing in terms of the sadhana, the kriya and the hatha yoga very diligently. Even if you're planning to do it next year or something like that, but you shouldn't delay it too much as well. If you feel a certain calling or a natural kind of pull to this, I suggest you do it at the earliest available opportunity. Because if you think you will do it in like 3 years or 5 years, or maybe when you retire or something like that, I don't recommend that, because you don't know what situation of life you will be in, and what if you're steered away. There are so many things which could happen, and only as long as you're alive you can do it. So from the 1st of January 2014 till sometime late in March was my first stint in the ashram, culminating with the Mahashivratri. During this time, along with attending all of these programs, I volunteered in many capacities. And these were different times, by the way. The ashram used to be very empty at that time. There was a lot less infrastructure, much less crowds, and you would barely see a few brahmacharis or a few Samskriti students walking from here to there. Sadhguru would be seen casually walking around, unlike now he can't do that because people just pounce on him at the first sight of him. So all of that changed very soon. As much as I like the ashram like that, I think it's great that, now the number of people who are coming to the ashram and coming to Isha, because the intention was always to reach out to as many human beings as possible. Today it's amazing to see hundreds and thousands of people coming in every day, from villages to the most influential kind of people, from sages to billionaires, and all congregating in the same place, addressing the same commonality that we all have within us. After all of that, I met Swami, and as we were talking generally, I asked him, what is the Hatha Yoga Teachers Training Program? I have no clue about it. What is it? So he told me about it and said that I could do the 6-month program, which starts by June, July at that time. Even though I didn't have any intention of being a Hatha Yoga teacher, because I was going to become a full-time volunteer eventually, he decided it would still be a valuable experience for me. And we will continue this in the Yogic Step Part 4. See you in the next one.